Like, it really makes you think about what you're building. Hey, I want to get my project finished and get it done, but now I have this anxiety around that. Hey, is my code good? Did the vibe code leave some backdoors? Welcome to Fire Talks by Tech Wing Bites. I'm Clint. I've built software, led teams, and now a founder, helping builders who are ready to make the leap, but can't quite see the path yet. Every episode is one conversation closer to clarity on ownership, execution, and momentum. The topic today is the positive changes in AI and what that can bring. My name is Clint.
So, name's David C. Holm, longtime tech executive and advocate of technology and of business leadership, and working on starting my own business at the moment as well.
Wonderful. So today I wanted to dive in. We've seen a lot of negative things about AI. What AI is being used for is being used in the war, is being used to hack. As of today, Anthropic dropped their Glasswing model Mythos that they are limited to a certain amount of big tech firms so that they can patch before the real deal comes. But that opens up a bunch of other negative angles of where other model platforms such as OpenAI could potentially say, well, forget that, I'm just going to release it, and puts it in the hands of bad actors. And of course that opens the world of bad things, and we can go down all those different paths. But what I wanted to do today was kind of talk on the opposite. What can we really use AI for from a positive standpoint, and how we can continue to push a positive angle on the use of AI. Welcome, Tony. I just gave the introduction, but happy to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, and then we'll get into the theme.
Well, Tony, CEO Vulnerabilities. I've been doing software engineering in some way, shape, or form for the better part of the millennium. At this point. I don't mind aging myself. It's fine.
It's all right. It's all right. We all there.
It's good. So I'm always glad to take a part in this. So just let me know what's going on.
So just a quick recap. The introduction was really about, there's a lot of negative spins on AI in the world, and today we're trying to focus on the positive spins. The big call out of the big negative thing is, if you haven't heard about it, the Mythos Glasswing from Anthropic, and if we talk about that, we can go down all the negative angles, right? Let's say we got our hands on that. What's the positive spin on using a model like that?
Ooh, the positive spin on using a model like that. Well, if done right, I think one of the more positive things will probably end up being just the fact that fingers crossed, your models, your software will be ideally more secure. You should be able to find, in theory, more, I'd say, you can find exploits. And here's the thing, I think, actually, now thinking more about it, exploits, yes, they're bad, but at the same time, they actually give you a guideline as to what to do right. Right. So, if we're talking about the gamification of things, which you talked about a little bit before, right?
Yeah.
When you find something that you can exploit, it's not necessarily a breaking of the game so much as you found something that you can use, reuse, and is it necessarily what they intended? No, but now you're finding out new things. You're finding out more about what this system and what this game is about.
Yeah. I see that, and I don't want to go too far down this path. But that is the leverage of the game. It's like a company's IP, right? That's private. That's theirs. That's their cheat, so to speak, right? That's their advantage, right? And with with these tools, I think it's cool that it gives you the opportunity to find exploits, right? That you can say, okay, let me put a positive spin on that. But but the big deal is the whole 0-day concept. I assume you guys understand what 0-day is, right? Or zero hack.
Yeah, zero. Yeah,
we should probably go ahead and define that, though. Yeah, but just, I mean, so I said we should probably define 0-day. So a 0-day exploit is, something where you can attack a piece of software or a piece of hardware from an previously unknown vulnerability, right? And that gets in the hand of an attacker, and they start using it before you know about it. So it's the 0th day of the known exploit. Is where that name comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, kind of along the same lines, I mean, there's an individual that has a YouTube channel that goes by Low Level. Guy is like a hardware level interface kind of hacker. Specializes in that realm. But once you start getting into this stuff, there's a lot of specialties in there, and that's kind of his specialty level. And he actually ran through some of the exploits that Anthropic has published that they found with Mythos, and they're pretty extraordinary. It's something that you really probably couldn't do without a large language model. They're doing things like finding one of the DVD encoding standards for video playback standards. They found an attack where you had to like sequence it just right, and they were actually able to take it where it was an actual exploit. It wasn't just a vulnerability. And there's like 20 steps to being able to discover, and you need to know like some real special stuff in some very disparate areas of technology to be able to pull that off. So I think you're going to discover a lot of things like that there. But I would kind of go back to like the EDR realm of things. I don't know if you guys are familiar with so yeah, it's where detection and response effectively, where you have a network and you have a bunch of sensors on your network, and it's feeding everything back into a SIEM, and you have the EDR system that's running against all the information coming into the SIEM and saying, hey, these are your vulnerabilities, right, that you have inside of your network right now across all of your user base, etc. And they're great at detecting the things that they're tuned for. But after 4 or 5 iterations and you fix all the things that it found, just this kind of, it becomes noise. Like you get a report that says that you're all good, or you might find 1 or 2 things every once in a while that you need to go and patch, but it's not really doing a whole lot there in the background anymore. And I think that this is likely to be one of those things. I think that there's a whole lot of stuff that's going to come out, and then 4 or 5 iterations down the line, and we stop seeing those issues anymore. But does that mean that there's no vulnerabilities out there? No, it just means that this model has run its course effectively for finding big chunks of them. And I reached out to somebody that I know that runs a company that actually specializes in finding unknown software vulnerabilities. It's called Dolphins Labs. He's the CTO of that company, and he did something very, very similar. There have been a lot of things that have come out, and there's one company in particular that runs their large language model, and their CEO likes to say that, oh, this is world changing, like everybody's going to lose their jobs, right? And then it gets released, and that's not really the case. Or the companies that did, let everybody go are regretting it, kind of thing, right? So he views it the same way, because I mean, this is a direct threat to his company, and he's not worried about it at all. He thinks that there's going to be impact, obviously, but it's not going to be earth shattering or anything. We're not going to fall back into the dark ages because Mythos comes out and starts giving.
No, I wouldn't imagine.
Well, I mean, there's Mythos, right? That's where we are right now. But like, if I'm not mistaken, I saw a headline. I didn't click on it. But is it possible that OpenAI is going to release something, or Perplexity releases something that is of the same kind of caliber of finding these exploits, but then release it to all of us? They won't have the same concern as, say, Anthropic, right?
So throw
I
it out.
don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it's like, whoa, hold on. Like it really makes you think about what you're building, right? Like what you're building now. Like, hey, I want to get my project finished and get it done. But now I have this anxiety around that. Hey, is my code good? I vibe coded it. Did the vibe code leave some backdoors?
Oh well, you already have that problem.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
you absolutely already have that problem.
Yeah.
Slop squatting, prompt injection, all the things.
Wait.
Even with
What was the first thing you said? Soft what?
Slop squatting.
Oh,
Are you not hearing me very well? Here, I'll move this. There we go.
Slop squatting?
Yes, sir.
I gotta look that up. give me a little.
Yeah. Okay, so slop squatting is you know, go look in npm, right? There's tens of thousands of packages sitting out there, and a very small number of them are actually maintained anymore. As a threat actor, I can go out and pick one of those up because they're all open source, or I can fork it, or I can go actually take over the maintenance of it, and then I can start putting malicious things in there. It still solves a real problem that people might want to pull that package in for, but it also has a bunch of malicious code in there. So as soon as you pull that into your project, then therefore you've just introduced this vulnerability. That's one form of slop squatting. Sometimes they're just completely built from scratch and put out there to solve a general problem, and they have nasty stuff in them. But you throw that stuff out in the world, and then you have to go and seed Stack Overflow and a bunch of other places where these models go and learn how to actually write code, because then it sees it, thinks that that's a solution that it can use. But in any case, there's a ton of examples of this actually happening. Fancy Bear, I believe, is the one that has been most active. If you're not familiar with Fancy Bear, they're one of the persistent threat actors out of Russia. So
Fancy Bear. What a name.
Yeah, Fancy Bear, then you have Cozy Bear. So Fancy Bear is the one that does the fancy stuff, and Cozy Bear is the one that does a lot of the social engineering type stuff, they're the ones that were allocated for the 2016 election things. But in any case, those are the two more common. There's a lot of other ways that the stuff. But if you're vibe coding, you're not checking your code, or you don't know how to write software, and it has something critical like payments or anything like that, or PII in it, you're opening yourself up a whole lot of risk.
Cursor is not checking in code. They just said they don't.
Yeah.
You said it's not checking your code.
They're not checking it's vibe coded, and I don't know how real that is. So
the company Cursor said that they are not checking the code.
I saw an article. You need to crush to check it, but it was like the article read they just admitted they're not building or touching code. I took the assumption that they also are not looking at it. They're just releasing it. Of course, they have their test blocks or whatever. They're looking at the end user product, but not the code like we used to do, code reviews and things of the sort.
So you're saying the code that they're using. So they're using Codex or whatever to generate their code, and they're not checking that when they actually commit it for themselves.
Right. Yeah, so they have the AI agent coder that's coding it, and they probably managing that to some extent, but there's no eyes on code. There's eyes on telling it what to do. That's how I interpreted it, which terrified me, because even though I do some vibe code, and I still peek at the code. It's like,
right, you have to.
I would need you don't necessarily.
Okay, you don't have.
So that I would want more detail about what they meant. They don't go through the code. It's they might be piping all of if they're using Claude or any of them, really, all the actions are turned into JSON, and you can actually capture those and pipe those through into a local SIEM or an offsite SIEM, and go and check all that stuff against things. So that's not technically looking at the code, but you're checking all the actions. So who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I had a question here. And I think the question angle just changed, right? It was about broken systems, like using AI to fix something that's broken, whether it be the operating system, existing app, or something of the sort. And the question goes, um, if you didn't have to worry about your AI token budget, right? Like, would you still go after it? But now like we started to talk about Mythos and stuff. I'm gonna start thinking, it's like, how would you even know your system is broken? Like, other than the obvious, right? Like, would you say, you know what, I want to go ahead and use, let's say we have access to Mythos or anything like that, I want to use AI to check my application for vulnerabilities, and I don't want to have to worry about tokens. Would you do that if you didn't have to worry about tokens? Like, nah, it's good enough. You know, my self tests and my TDD and end-to-end tests is just fine.
No, I mean, I do, and I do it without tokens. I mean, no, that's what your CI pipeline's for, right?
Right.
Yeah, test
We've been, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of vulnerability testing in there.
Yeah, but I mean, but you could miss it, right? You could. Miss
Oh
it,
yeah,
of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So
not could. How much are you missing? Like, it's happening.
Point.
Right. Yeah. We miss the tests never cover everything. Like that's probably the biggest thing I've learned, is that no matter what you think you can cover, there's always something that you didn't.
For sure. So then, if you didn't have to worry about an AI budget, and what would you change about your dev process now? Like, you have a pipeline, you have some people don't do load testing, right? Like, they do some basic stuff, but they don't do load testing to see, and then they put it out, you get 1,000 million users and then shit crash. So what would you use it for? That's what I'm asking. I would use it for load testing. And
load testing is a good. I mean, load testing is a good one, because that's something that I don't really have a lot of opportunity to do per se. I mean, it's always been good at writing tests, but it's something like Mythos, where it's supposed to be catching vulnerabilities. I would have it at the very least checking the npm packages potentially that I would be using, even though I'm only using a little bit for React, and I'm not using that much.
Yeah.
I would still have it check those packages, especially something like, say, for example, like a cryptography.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I would definitely have it run through that, just because I would suspect that it was designed for those type of checks.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I would try to use it for what it's designed for. And then, yes, well, obviously my curiosity would have me have it try to see, like, what are the different ways that this can get broken.
Right. That's definitely a positive spin on using it. David, what would you use it for?
Oh, what would I use Mythos for?
Yeah, if you didn't have to worry about tokens, and you had to use your AI, whether it be Mythos or whatever, to like go after and find something in your broken system, in your in your vulnerable system. Like, for me, I definitely like the load testing option, right? Because if you try to do that now in A/B testing, that's a lot of tokens. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna trust what I already have built in, and I'm gonna go for it. But what would you choose?
Yeah, so I would use it to investigate so increasingly, supply chain attacks are the thing today, right? And increasingly, the target of the supply chain attack is actually the developer or the developer machine. And so we're having to quickly get more sophisticated about how we secure the development machine. And effectively, we're pulling all the tools from network security down into the system level, or individual system, the endpoint level. And I would use it to bash on that a bit. I would use it for scanning all the npms, but that also goes back into the developer and the zero trust model that's going on in the development machine, and the actions that Claude's allowed to take versus what it did take, and cross-checking all those things, because it all ties back together. So I would do that. Testing the network architecture and security of cloud compute. You know, all those things. I would use it for those. Network security. You know, bashing on the network security. Is the IDP, IDS stuff set up correctly?
I know
is it malicious things? Yeah. Yeah, is it blocking stuff, etc. Yeah.
That was my first guess for you, network security.
Oh, actually, no. Yeah. No, I think it needs to start at the endpoint now. The network security stuff is important, but it's becoming less and less the target. So, I mean, the whatever is being targeted the most is what you need to spend the most time securing. And right now, development machines are the things that are being targeted the most in supply chain tech. Yeah.
I would imagine the people too. I mean, it's the social engineering portion of it, but you can't really use Mythos to.
Well, if you're reporting actions,
you might be able to. So like using Mythos or any.
Or something.
Any because I'm sure the next 2 days we're gonna hear about some other stuff. But in the area of finding vulnerabilities, definitely a positive way to use it. But if we switch it to the human side or the nature side or the living side, like here's a few things I have written down. Heart disease, or any type of disease that you can use it for early detection. The power grid / energy, renewable energy, is that even possible? We got solar, right? Is that efficient enough? Can we use AI to kind of help there? In nature, we do a lot of to get for humans to get our comfort. We do a lot of destruction within nature. How can we use it to kind of maintain certain ecosystems? And lastly, teaching and learning. I know I use AI a lot to learn, but I see that it could potentially be a good teacher. You have a high chance of being fair, maybe. I don't know. Well, any of those categories jump out of you guys?
Yes, but maybe not the way you want to.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, well, yeah, okay. I think if we go back to how knowledge is transferred, right? A lot of it comes from, yes, there's the book knowledge, but there's also comes the knowledge from the doing. Can AI help people actually execute on the things that they're learning, that they're trying to learn? So one of the things that I kind of been semi-interested in just kind of is kind of like a closed loop system as far as producing let me remember how I want to phrase this. Well, it's not really complicated. It's just like a enclosed hydroponic aquaponics system, right? Where you have fish and you have your plants, and is there a way to make that efficient, not just at a home scale, but just maybe potentially at the scale of a neighborhood, or as we grow at that out? It's it's AI is at the very least allows me to at least think about those things versus versus not just I can just look at a YouTube video and maybe come pull up something for that. Or I know a couple people that kind of do it, but it's usually at the scale of maybe their block, right? Or not even their block, but maybe like a couple houses. So what can that do scaling out to a neighborhood? What can I do scaling out? Cities probably a bit bigger than what I want to do right at this point. But yes, there's obviously when we're talking about those things, that coincides with the nature. I just saw a video about how the Amish cool. I think how they cool their buildings or keep it heated by using tunnels. And so it's kind of like, okay, is that something that can be transported to someplace like here in Texas, which can, because the earth is the earth, but what does that look like, right? So so some of those things that it allows me to kind of like at least expand upon.
So are you thinking about it from the construction or the analytics of that ecosystem?
Construction. construction of it. The analytics of it will come, but how do you construct something like that at a scale that is usable? And and then the analytics of it is, obviously, is it performing the way you expect it to perform, and what are the ratios that you have to use? And I would suspect the ratios, depending on the scale, kind of changes a little bit as it grows, but there's a variance there.
So are you also thinking about, and I want to make sure I understand this correctly, like an ecosystem of people, so like they form their own kind of area? Because that reminds me of something I was reading with I think it was in the Netherlands. There's a few communities that kind of isolate themselves from the greater government, but like and they kind of build their own mini government and their own kind of internal system.
I don't necessarily think it go to that level of it, but it's proximity, right? Like there's a proximity that people that we have as people that the neighborhood is, I mean, I grew up in Brooklyn, right? So the neighborhood looks out for each other, looks out for each other.
Gotcha.
And so it's kind of like, that's kind of, I might be in Texas, but I kind of have kind of same ideas. Like the neighborhood looks out for each other.
Yeah.
So how does that actually grow to the neighborhood scale? So that's kind of where I went for that. Not necessarily that I'm breaking out, having a fiefdom or something, serfdom, and kind of like you build a moat around and like,
it reminds me.
So that probably will happen anyway, but
it could. Yeah, the right group of people. It reminds me of permaculture. Have you heard that before?
I've heard of that, but
it's an ecosystem of different plants and animals, and of course peoples, but they build it in such a manner that everything kind of flows through. So like the waste from one is actually good for another. So the bees and the grass and everything just kind of works. So you put, the people live on top, and then the lakes is on the bottom. It flows down, but then you have, and it kind of recycles.
Cycles up. Yeah, it's a cycle. Yeah. So everything kind of cycles in. Every part feeds the next part, which eventually comes back to the initial part that needs to get fed. So
people that are into urban farming are really big into that concept, which actually plays directly into what you're talking about. Maybe not so much with the hydroponic angle of it, but you kind of at the beginning. But especially with like chickens and hot composting and like recycling all of materials to get the future plants. But it's fascinating. I think that's a really good area where this could see some benefits, where people have these projects that they think that they would like to try to get done. How do you crunch all the data, right? And so you have the ability to collect and crunch data to be able to accomplish these things on a one-off. I think also maybe for a later conversation, but I think there's a really good gamification, another psychological principle in there around people and schedules, and how when you start turning those things like that, especially in communities where there's too much of a schedule, like you actually start to see people fall off. Anyway, we can dive into that later because that's not really the topic. But the one that you brought up one in there that I think I see a lot of good that can be done, and I also see a lot of really dangerous pitfalls, and that is in the healthcare system. But especially with what you were talking about with heart health, right? And unfortunately, this plays into, it's not so much a global problem, but it's definitely a U.S. problem where healthcare is not guaranteed, right? And so, yes, it can be monitored. Yes, that data can be collected. Who's going to use it? What are they going to use it for? Right? We're going to start using denying care or doing other things that you don't want them to do. Have you heard about, I mean, this just happened and just came out. Have you heard about Ghost Murmur?
Ghost Murmur? What is that?
Well, apparently the CIA developed a tool that they were able to use the down pilot in Iran, or I think it was the combat weapon specialist. And they didn't know where he was for a little bit, and he was escaping and evading up in the mountains in Iran. They actually were able to find him by his heartbeat through this technology called Ghost Whisper.
That makes sense. I saw something on TikTok just recently, and it says if you have a heartbeat, we can find you. So
yeah, it's it just came out that this is a real thing. It's called Ghost Murmur.
Man.
Yeah, it was developed by Lockheed Martin apparently, and they can detect a heartbeat up to 1,000 kilometers away. So,
but wait, but that's, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. So this might be a dumb question. We're not the only species with heartbeats. So how is it distinguishing the other noise if this person is in the jungle, for example?
Oh, I mean, well, so you're collecting, stuff at that degraded of a frequency, like or that far out, there's going to be a lot of noise, right? And so they're using artificial intelligence and some probably ridiculously sophisticated signal analysis to be able to, okay, this is a person, right?
Yeah.
And everybody, just like your voice or your fingerprints or everything else, you have a certain signature to your heart.
Okay. Yeah.
So being able to track people by their heart, literally the signal that their heart's giving off, and then being able to track their health, right? Being able to track their stress levels. What could the people that had information to that do, right? Hey, this guy's having a stressful day. Now's the time to go sell this product to him, right? Or
so true.
Or they're having elevated heart rates that don't look healthy. We're going to increase their health insurance premiums.
You're angry. No, I'm not.
Yeah. I mean, so while it could do a lot of good, right? It could be like, hey, you are seeing like super early stage development of heart problems. You should go see a doctor and get this dealt with now. Or it becomes like a big deal for you where you have to have surgery or you have to be on meds the rest of your life. We can deal with this now and get it done. Yes, great, awesome, good for people. Will it get used for? Probably not, and that scares me.
You have to get your what cut off?
That's right, Egan.
No. Are we talking about detecting using AI to help on a positive side for as far as heart is concerned? But David was explaining the negative downsides. Project Ghost, what how you say it?
Ghost Murmur.
Ghost Murmur.
Yeah, I looked it up. Some sort of advanced long-range quantum magnetometry.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
But
Interesting. So ecosystems, nature, and then the pros and cons of healthcare. Like, I saw the positive side of healthcare with AI, as in we have our bodies is not infinite, right? And I'm sure somebody out there is trying to figure out how to live forever using AI, right? But to use it, and which will be, that's an enhancement. But to use it for destruction only comes down to war and that kind of stuff, right? Or is it you think more like a privacy issue?
Well, I don't think it's just a privacy issue. I mean, like what I just walked through, right? Like,
yeah.
And I don't think that that's necessarily a malicious thing either, right? Which is the unfortunate side of it, right? Because somebody's out there is like, hey, I want to figure out how to increase profitability for the health insurer that I have. I have this idea. I can go and collect this data. I can use it in this way. It's serving their purpose, right? They're doing the right thing by the health insurer, by their employer, for their career, and therefore themselves, because they're advancing their career. Is it helping the population? No, absolutely not, right? So it's all in the eyes of the beholder with a lot of this stuff. Right, but it's not necessarily just that letting a drone autonomously go around and shoot people is the only destructive thing that can happen with this stuff.
Right. Yeah.
It's a reflection of us. It's a tool that enhances us for good, for evil, for nebulous, for wasting time, all the above. All the things that we do, we're going to do more of it. Now with AI, that's kind of, yeah.
Well, I don't know if people can waste more time. There's a finite.
Oh,
So-
yeah. We'll waste all the time we have.
Yes, people can always find time to waste. Even when they feel like they're wasting all their time, they'll find more time.
I have been working on agents so that I can waste time in parallel.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Or at least electricity.
You got to get that project out, Egan.
Yeah, telling you.
Oh man, there we go.
Yeah,
You need to figure out the quantum time paradox, so you literally can do it in parallel.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's all about superposition.
Superposition.
Yeah,
Superposition.
there you go. I brought it up to the right person. The physicist knows the right term.
Here, there, and everywhere. Yeah.
Here's
All
my,
at once.
here's my next question. Is AI making opportunity more equal, or just faster for people who already have it?
It's lowering a lot of barriers, but not for everyone.
I mean,
in the end, you still need a.
Is trying to learn to use it, or because there's a lot of people that still oppose AI right now, and it can help their lives in many different ways.
Well,
no, conversation stops.
Just like in how society has structured itself into tiers, the same thing is happening with business. You know that right now you've got a taste of it until you subscribe, and then you get a little more, and then you have to pay, and then you have to pay a little more, and a little more, and a little more. And now they've got models that are so good you can't use them, that they only are letting people who pay them millions of dollars a minute to cover their ass can get to use those. And so, and they've been saying this for a couple of years, that that's how it's going to fall out.
Egan, this sounds like Black Mirror.
Sounds like what? Blackmail?
Black Mirror. I mean, that too, but I think it's a Black Mirror.
That's
right?
it. Black Mirror episode, the show.
Yeah.
I think about it. I think you were referring to Mythos there.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about that earlier, but I think that there's some smoke and mirrors going on there. I'm sure it's really good, and there's some evidence of some of the stuff that it's found is just like absolutely incredible. Some of the exploits it's found, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be the doom and gloom of society either that they're pronouncing it is. So it's probably going to be somewhere squarely in the middle, just like all the other releases that are going to fundamentally change the world overnight. This one's going to
slowly moves things in a certain direction for sure.
Yeah.
But overnight change, I don't expect that. But kind of going back to what you were saying, I think as far as how people, like the barrier of entry for AI is probably about the same as is for the barrier of entry to when you get into the internet when it first came out, right? I'd say it's probably around that level.
Yeah, I mean, you can get a long way with $20, but you got to have it like you're saying. I think before you got to have a computer before that. You got to have an internet connection on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, but people back in the day using the internet and technology, right? People were still kind of interested in using it. They didn't say, "Hey, no, I don't want to use that. Yes, this can help me with my research faster, but I'm not going to use it." Like, there's literally people saying today they will not use AI at all, and it can help them in many different angles. You put AI in that statement, conversation stops.
Which is very interesting, just because in general, everybody has used AI at some point, whether they know it or not.
Right, facts.
It started with damn you autocorrect.
Well, and that, honestly, some of that's I'm thinking about some older family members who most of their exposure to LLMs is Gemini in the browser, giving them summaries of what they're looking for, and just being absolutely freaking wrong.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's never right. I'm not going to trust that.
Yeah.
Why would I trust that? That's stupid, especially with something as fundamental to my survival as my health, right? Or monitoring my heart. Like, get that away from me.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of these companies have been maybe not the smartest in the way they've rolled some of this stuff out. I mean, at one point in time, like early on, there was a Wired reporter that went and had the various different LLMs compete against each other about facts. And it would pull a bunch of facts from like OpenAI, and then they would go and feed it to Gemini and this, that, and the other. And I remember the one that stuck out to me was that Gemini was very adamant that Texas was the largest state in the union, which is not at all close to true.
Yeah, it's like not even like whether you do landmass or population.
Right. Yeah. No, it's not
whatever, y'all.
Yeah. So in any case, yeah, it kept saying, and that's actually, it's a common misconception of people, because everything's bigger in Texas. I think that's where it comes from. But
yeah,
you're like, oh, Texas is the largest state in the union. No, it's Alaska. It's not even close. I think Alaska's like close to like 25% larger than Texas.
Yeah.
But how many times in the training literature is the size of Alaska talked about, or is Alaska talked about relative to Texas? And that saying, that saying, everything's bigger in Texas, I bet is in the training data more than all the mentions of Alaska put together.
Yeah, I mean, the way they got in there, I mean, that's that's semantic. For the point that Clint was making, that's kind of a semantic thing. And yes, you're absolutely right. Like, it was just, the training data was bad, and it needed to be cleaned up. And that stuff will get better over time. But once people got exposed to that, they're like, yeah, no, I'm not going to trust that. Like, they've already made their decision about it. Now going back and saying them otherwise. It's like, trying to convince people to switch political parties. So good luck.
The concept of freemium, hook you in, has always been a thing. That's not even a new AI thing, right? But I'm gonna give you a little bit, make you feel it, and then you pay me, and then you get the real deal. And what's in the browser is not the real deal. If people is not paying, they're not getting the real deal anyway. So they're not trusting what a potential bad model that Gemini's like, let me see if I can make a little extra buck off of it, because I'm paying Gemini now for a pro, and it still tells me, hey, you want to upgrade to the next level?
With the upgrade, so with it
in the real
max, whatever,
I think that's the screen after the payment screen for the first one.
Yeah. Well, okay. So somebody else that I know and associate with a lot brought up the point that this war between Google, Anthropic, and OpenAI has very clearly turned this into a commodity market. The costs that they're incurring is they're never going to be able to cover that on an ongoing basis through the models that they're pursuing, because people won't pay it, just flat out. They won't and can't. So I'm not sure that this is even a relevance, because you're saying that, like, oh, they're just teasing them into paying more. Dude,
yeah.
I think we probably should take a look at where we sit in the economic column and think about that situation. Think about it from that angle, right? Because most people don't have that option.
Yeah.
Especially outside the U.S. I mean, you start thinking outside the U.S., like the other 70% of the world that's not fully industrialized, not happening.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have my last question. I'm going to ask you the question, but I'm also going to share my screen. The question is, if you can name one positive change that AI is already delivering that you know, what is that? What I'm going to share on while you think about that, what I'm going to share is I found 2 videos that kind of shows the what AI is doing. So just give me a second here, and I'll share my screen. Just briefly. So this is one of them. 15 AI deception during safety testing. 15 new AI breakthrough scientists can't explain. So I can put that in the the link there for you guys to check out later, because this kind of piqued my interest. And then there's this other one here, how AI is now making scientific discovery humans can't. That also caught my attention. I think this one came from one of those articles I sent you. And then the one I actually want to show you, and we can talk about this after you guys answer the positive question, is this AI for energy. We talked about nature, we talked about healthcare. We didn't really talk about energy. And this article has some graphs I think that I find interesting. Wanted to see your thoughts, but let's continue with the your answer first. One positive thing that you know AI is being used for.
Obviously, acceleration of, idea to reality, like the speed at which that can occur. That's probably one of the more positive things I could think of. Now, it's positive just because I'm coming from actually the standpoint of, ideas to reality is a good thing. Now, obviously, some ideas should never be made to reality, but but as from an overall humanity standpoint, yeah, I think the acceleration of that is a good thing overall.
Yeah,
I'm surprised cats haven't taken over AI.
You're watching too much of, is it Robots? Was it Love, Death and Robots?
Ooh,
Yeah, that's good.
Has anybody set a large language model to capturing audio of various different species to try to figure out how to communicate directly with them?
Yeah, they're working on throwing cetacean sounds at neural networks and language models.
Nice.
I've seen that too. Communicate with your dog or cat is where you get.
Of course, that's where it. I mean, I think we need to let the elephants and the whales have votes in society here soon.
Mm-hmm.
But
Dolphins
and the concept, they have I don't know if AI will understand the context though.
So
yeah, that's the whole rub. Yeah.
There's a whole nother topic for you, Clint.
Mm-hmm. I know. We could dive into that.
Everybody pick a species. Come back and report.
Birds. Clearly, I'm going with birds.
You just lost a good 8% of your viewership.
What, from birds?
Yeah, 8% of people are terrified of birds.
Really?
Yeah. I think that's the number. There's a statistic out there about it. But anyway,
4% of those is purely derived from the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I won't lie. When I first saw birds, I was terrified of birds for a long time.
He confirmed it.
My dad won't go past knee deep in the ocean since Jaws.
He's been shocked.
Okay. I was a little bit off. It's between 3.3 and 5.7%.
Oh, that's low. Any more responses to what else you know?
I think that it is able to positively give people a leg up on professional services. And I think that this goes back into the medical one as well. And I actually have a anecdotal one for this. So a number of years ago, I contracted a waterborne bacteria in the skin, and so in the dermis, and
brain amoeba.
Well, I'm pretty sure it was Vibrio, which is also known as flesh-eating bacteria. Thankfully, it didn't end up in the fascia, so I didn't lose any limbs. But when I went to the hospital for it, they put me on like 7 different antibiotics. I was there for a week. They finally released me. I was gone. I was out of the hospital for a day. It came back with a vengeance. I went back. They put me on the same set of 7 IV antibiotics, and I was there for almost another 2 weeks before one of the nurses came. It's like, hey, these doctors are not going to refer you. You have got to request for them to send in an infectious disease doctor. And if it wouldn't have been for that, like I had been Googling all sorts of stuff and trying to research this on my own, but I never came across anybody talking about, hey, this is like the specialty of an infectious disease doctor. Now we have a tool where you can go and look up and put all the symptoms of this stuff in and be like, hey, this is the way that you should go about, like, requesting care and the things that you should be thinking about for this stuff. And I talked to an infectious disease doctor after I requested for him to come in and see me. And 2 days later, that was completely gone because he gave me the right antibiotics finally.
Well,
It turns out that they don't make IV antibiotics for that; they're all oral. So I didn't even need to be in the hospital for it. So I never found out how the insurance company felt about that, but in any case,
I think mine is similar to that. I was thinking forecasting. A lot of things that has done previously has been, previous patterns repeated over with similar outcomes, and maybe they can in healthcare in this case, right? If they see you have the same symptoms that they've seen other people have, they can kind of forecast it's probably this. But it can also kind of forecast, not just finances, but kind of human. From the psychology standpoint, what we will do next, game theory and the whole nine, you know what I mean? And so that's from a positive standpoint, but I'm sure, David, there's a negative angle there as well.
There's always a positive and negative side.
Yeah. Can't get away.
Yeah. All right. Well, we get close to the end. We got 1 minute left. I'll share my screen quickly on this stuff. I really think another big angle is energy. We've been paying energy for a lot, and maybe that's just a pain point for me. I lived in Arizona once for about 9 years, and man, that electric bill was crazy, and I was confused. It's like we're in Arizona where it's always hot. It should be standard that every house have a solar panel. Why are you selling me solar panels so separately from the house? It just come with for the house.
I have one better for you. Why don't they build the subdivisions with geothermal to help stabilize the temperature inside the houses?
Oh,
there you go.
I didn't know that's not happening. I thought they already balanced all of that.
With geothermal inside of the subdivisions inside of Arizona? No, absolutely
not. No, not at all. So here's some quick stats on energy from iron and steel. I'll send you guys the links, but I just thought these charts and graphs was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, you guys have any last things to add before we close out?
I think this was a good one, Clint. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Egan?
All good. Showing up late as usual.
Right, with your camera off.
Hey, at least you showed up, man.
Yeah, he showed up. Reliability is the number one thing for collaboration. Tony, you got anything to add?
Oh no, I mean, this is great as always. Have some. It's always good to have like certain types of topics and ways to like think about things new. Like I never necessarily thought about it until like at that very moment. It's like, oh, you know what? That's actually a good point.
Yeah, wonderful.
Or that's something I never thought of. So
Flip it on its head.
Yeah, I love it.
Thank you. Any plugs? You got a plug. This is a time plug. I'll plug it up. No plugs. All right, cool. Next time, think about it, man. We drop a plug. All right, so this ends it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you guys for joining, and then you.